It is indeed a very, very blessed, beautiful, and very cold Thursday, I must say, right here in Mzansi in South Africa. And but anyway, we are excited. We are looking forward to be chatting with one of the great, 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 great guests that I have with me today. As you always know, every Thursday I get to bring you powerful guests, and today I happen to have one of those. Normally, you know that we have guest authors on Thursday, but from now on, I'm going to also be having life coaches, and today we happen to have one of those, and she looks very young, by the way. She's a
I
very
am.
young, beautiful, power packed young woman. She's a life coach. She's a healthcare professional, a mental health advocate, a keynote speaker, founder and CEO of Kgosi Life Coaching. Her name is Kgaogelo Photoane. I'm so excited to be having her for the very first time right here on Africa USA Radio. Hey, Kgao.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. And how are you?
I am cold, but I am good. Blessed, very blessed.
Yeah. How is this cold weather treating you?
Oh my goodness. I have no idea what's going on. It is way too cold. It is way too cold.
Extremely, extremely
Yeah,
cold.
wow.
You can tell I still have my coat on. I am not taking off my coat. I am not going to set myself up for that. I am not going to enjoy the cold during this interview, so I rather keep
It's
myself
not worth
warm.
it.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
worth it.
yeah. Sure. But I'm excited to have you for the very first time on Africa USA Radio. We are a global platform, and normally on Thursday, I get to interview different guests, especially um, authors, but I'm expanding it now to speakers, to life coaches. So I'm very happy. I'm excited that today you happen to be one of those life coaches that I get to interview. And I'm sure we're going to have a very, very good time. We're going to have an amazing time with you. And I'm excited already to see your profile, that you are such a powerful woman, powerful young woman. I don't even want to ask your age.
Hey.
Your profile is just too power packed for your
Thank
age,
you.
I must say. You know,
Thank you
I'm
so much.
looking at it. I'm looking at how young you are, and I'm thinking, wow, 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 what an inspiration! And I trust that also you'll be an inspiration to other young women, to show them that it's possible. You know, it's possible to be anything that you want to be in life, as long as you set your mind on it, as long as you are focused, as long as you are purpose driven, because you seem like you are a very purpose driven woman who is very,
Uh-uh.
very focused and who is very ambitious. So let's start here. How? Tell us a bit about yourself, your background, who you are, since it's the first time we have you here on Africa USA Radio. Who is Khao? Where do you hail from? What is it that you want our listeners, our viewers to, to know about you before we get into what we are here for today?
Okay. I'm so honored to be a part of your recording today, to be a part of this beautiful session. My name is Kgaogelo Photoane. I am 29 years old this year. So yeah, the
How
Lord
old?
has been 29 this year.
You're 29. Wow.
29.
I was curious to know that.
Yeah, I'm
To know
29.
your age.
I'm 29
Wow.
this year. Yeah, so the Lord has just honestly just shown up in my life with everything that I've
Mm,
been able to achieve so far.
sure, sure.
So I was born and bred in Pretoria. I am one of four kids. I'm a mom. I'm a speech therapist and audiologist by profession. I was a life coach. I was a motivational speaker for about 5 years, a keynote speaker,
Mm,
advocating for mental health, advocating for depression, anxiety, but more so the mental health disorders that a lot of people are just so scared to talk about. I have an NPO together with two wonderful ladies called Not Alone, and it serves to provide a safe space for people affected by mental health, where we offer a support group, a virtual support group, and where pre-COVID we put together events and advocate for mental health in person and online. And I also have a life coaching business. I'm a qualified life coach called Hosi Life Coaching, named after my son. And the idea behind it is just to go after the royal self, just to go after our favorite self, our best self, and to just navigate together with me through that, just so you can show up all the time as your best self, as the king and queen that you are. I'm a born again Christian. I love the Lord. I'm crazy about the Lord. Yeah, I am very passionate about reading. I love just personal development. I'm a very free spirit. I'm loud. I'm an extrovert. I could go on and on and on and on, but we have just a few minutes, so I'll just leave it there.
You are such a vibe, I must say. You are such a vibe.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love your energy. I love your vibe. I love just the whole you, you know,
Thank
the whole
you.
you. Yeah, I just love it. You are a whole package, I must say. You are a whole package.
Thank you.
And I'm just interested, like with so many roles that you are playing, so many hats that you have, how do you manage to to balance all these roles together and still keep yourself focused, still be motivated and be inspired, and not go out of boundaries? How do you do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, I'd be very arrogant if I didn't acknowledge, the fact that I'm not held up by my own strength. First
Mm,
and foremost, God is just holding me all together. He's the one that opens up all these doors. He's the one that
right.
provides all these platforms and puts the passion, and the purpose in my heart. I also have an incredible support system. My family, just they go out of their way to support me, to make sure I have everything I need. I've got an incredible tribe of amazing friends that I just have a tribe, okay, of people that are just there for me when I need something, if I need support. So I'm never
Mm,
actually doing it by myself. And I think
oh,
that is incredibly important, because if I was an island, I would not be able to achieve everything that I've been able to achieve. And I think also
mm,
allowing myself to be human and allowing myself to take small steps at a time. Because if I wanted to do all these things, say in the first year of me having this passion or feeling like I have a purpose of serving, I would not have been
mm,
able to had I just gone, listen, let's do everything at the same time. But I think allowing God to just guide me, allowing myself to take a small step at a time over the years, because this was actually the root of doing all of these things and serving people in this particular way was because I had mental health challenges in the past. I'm saying in the past because I don't see it as my identity now, and
mm,
hence me being an advocate. So I think having gone through that has taught me to allow myself to be human and to take things a step at a time, because the healing journey taught me that. And I
mm,
took that lesson and I put it in, just venturing into all these different fields of being a mental health advocate, a speaker, a wellness facilitator, a life coach, a professional, a mom, a daughter, a friend, all these many roles. I think allowing myself to just show up the best way I can, and to also allow myself to be human, and just to
mm.
lean on, the support of God and the support of my friends and loved ones. I think, yeah.
Right, 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 right. So, how, two questions now. How did you discover your purpose, and how would you define your purpose as Kgaogelo? What do you believe your
Okay.
purpose is in life?
I think I'm gonna first start with what I think the purpose is, and I'll just tell you how I came about this. I think my purpose is to experience, story tell, and serve. I think those are
Wow.
my purposes. So to
Mm,
experience, so I can share my journey with other people, so I
Mm,
can leave footprints for other people to walk in and to serve. I think those are the purposes that
mm,
it actually found out in my life journey. So, like I said, I had mental health challenges in the past, and it took me a while to receive help. But when I eventually did, I had this urge. When God puts something in your heart, you can't shake it off. You just
right,
can't shake it off.
right.
So I
Mm,
had this
mm,
urge to share my story, but I didn't have any plans of being a life coach, advocate, speaker, facilitate, nothing. I
yeah.
didn't have any of those plans. I was already in school studying what I'm doing now. And when I just started working, I had I hit rock bottom. I was admitted into a psychiatric hospital for 21 days, received help, and then I decided to just change my life forever since then.
Mm,
Really did the
mm,
work, did the shadow work, started healing, went on medication, really, really, really started depending on the Lord. And then after that, I had this insane need to just share my story. It just, I couldn't shake it. And I shared my story, I remember on YouTube. I shared my story on Facebook, I think on Instagram as well, and the amount of people that related was insane. And I was getting all these messages, and I just couldn't keep up. And I remember I spoke to these two ladies. I was like, "Listen, we need to create some kind of platform where people can just receive help. And we then started the virtual support group, and then that's when Not Alone came up, and people then started asking me to speak, and I'm like, oh, this is a thing. And that's how the motivational speaking came along, because
mm,
it just became a thing where I was invited on platforms, invited to events where I would share my story, and I realized, oh, this is, people want to hear this. God took me through all of that for this very moment. And
mm,
then I started like facilitating also some of the events. And I was like, oh, so there's also wellness facilitating there. And I remember with the life coaching thing, I knew I wanted to serve as someone that facilitates a safe space, for people to explore their thoughts, explore their goals, explore what they want to do with themselves, where they want to be, explore the best version of themselves they want to be, and have
mm,
a mind or a maze or a way of getting there. And I was like, I know I want to do this, but how do I go about it? And that's how the
mm.
life coaching thing came up. So yeah, and that's how we're here. But like
Eh,
I said, God has just been just making the parts very clear. Like I was never confused about what I'm supposed to do in this instance, because it was
amazing.
just clear. When the time was right, it happened. When the time was right, it happened. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
that's how we got there.
mm, mm. Your 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 story is just so inspirational.
Thank
I just
you.
love how your purpose has unfolded,
Yeah,
through your life experiences, and it just makes sense why you are all these things now after what you just said, after what you just
yeah,
explained. It makes sense that young as you are, the experiences you've been through have led you to where you are right now, and for you to be to easily be able to connect actually with your purpose. It's
yeah.
just absolutely amazing. And I was gonna ask you actually, but I think you answered it during what you through what you said. I was gonna ask you what really inspired you to become
Yeah.
a what is it, a mental health advocate, but you clearly said it, that you were a victim yourself of
Yeah.
mental health. This was birthed out of you being a victim of mental health, and you decided to use your experience, what you went through, your story, to also impact other people who may be going through the same experience. It's just fascinating how you were able to take that experience and turn
Take
it
back
into
my power.
something full,
Yeah.
something impactful. Not many people do that, to turn, your pain, to turn your experience into purpose. It's
Yeah.
it's just mind blowing to me, I must
Thank
say.
you.
Now I'm interested now, since you are a mental health advocate and since you've been through mental health challenges as well. I'm interested in your story. How take us through your story. What really happened for you to end up being in a situation where you struggled with mental health? Take us through that story so that at least you can have a background, of what you had to go through, what you had to experience for you to be where you are now.
Sure, sure. Sure. It's the first thing I want to say before sharing my story is that I hope this inspires people to take back
Right,
their power
right.
and to
Yeah.
share their story. There's so much healing in storytelling, and there's so much liberation in
Mm,
owning your story and allowing yourself to um, move from there. So my story starts when I was in third year. So I grew up in a single parent household. My dad died when I was 4, and my mom has been incredible in trying to raise all 4 kids by herself. But I think that gap of a dad, um, is probably like the core of why everything unfolded the way it did.
mm,
And
mm.
so I remember when I was in third year, I had very like toxic relationships with men because I never really had a mind map of engaging with people of the opposite
Yeah.
gender, in order to like form healthy relationships. I've never had an example of that. So I
Mm,
didn't necessarily know how to do that. So I remember in third year, I found out something about my dad, him having like just multiple kids outside of like his marriage, and this is something that was kept away from us. I'm assuming in order to protect us, but kept away from us nonetheless. And I
mm.
remember everyone at home took it really well. Everyone was like, "Oh no, okay, very in." Yeah, very like okay with it, asking questions, but it hit me like a flood. I couldn't understand what was going on. I felt like everything I knew was a lie. I felt like, but how are we here? And I remember, yeah, I just hit rock bottom. I stopped going to class. I started like really indulging in alcohol. And I remember one of my lecturers called me in and was like, listen, what is going on? Because I was a very high, like a top student. So when I took a few steps back, one of the lecturers noticed very early on, and she referred me to the clinical psychologist on campus. And I
Mm,
went there, and she diagnosed me with major depression, and she wanted to put me on medication. But because I was so clueless, as a Black child about mental health, I thought medication, no, we're not doing
mm.
that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I completely left. So I ran away, basically. I ran away from it, and I was okay for about a year or two, and I started working. And I remember that year was supposed to be the best year of my life because I just
Mm,
started working, new car, place of my own, just living my best life. But I remember, because the other thing is, if there's a wound that is just covered up but not cleaned, it starts getting infected. You think you're okay, but it's getting
sure.
infected because it's not being attended to. And
Right.
that's exactly what happened. Things, normal everyday things that people cope with normally happened, but I just wasn't coping with so many changes, happening. And I remember I hit rock bottom, but I didn't tell anyone because I was embarrassed. And I remember I after some time spoke to my best friend at the time, and she then told my sister. And I remember I got very suicidal. I didn't want to do this anymore. I was in so much emotional pain. It was
Mm,
unbearable. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I couldn't move. My house was a mess. I couldn't get out of bed. I literally went to work, went to the liquor store, got alcohol, came back home, drank, passed out. Next day, next day, next day, next day, next day. And I
mm,
wasn't eating. I wasn't really doing much. And it got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I remember I thought, if I don't get help, I'm going to die.
mm.
If I don't
Mm.
get help, I am going to
Yeah,
lose my life because I can't do
sure,
this anymore.
sure,
And I
sure.
remember I called this hospital. I found it on the internet, and I remember it was a Tuesday. And they were like, "No, we can, um, you can see our psychologist on Friday." I remember I said to that lady, "I am not going to make it past today. I can't do this anymore.
It
I
was
can't do
that
this."
intense.
I'm like, I cannot. The reason why I called is because I need help. I can't do this anymore. If I don't get help today, I'm not going to make it past today. She said to me, pack your bags, drive here, we'll find you someone. The place is called Swavel Stream Clinic in Pretoria. And I left Joburg, drove to Pretoria, went there, didn't tell anyone. saw the psychologist. I remember it was at 7 p.m. because I knocked off, went there 7 p.m. And yeah, and I remember the psychologist saw me. The psychologist was like, "Nope, we have to admit you." Got admitted. And the interesting part is I started seeing a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist then went, "Oh, we need to do what is this? Um, not an MRI, an ECG. We need to see your brain activity." He did that, and he was like, "Yo, something is a bit off," and did an MRI, and they realized that there's actually abnormalities with my actual brain activity. So the depression, and then I was diagnosed at the time with major depression, general anxiety, and borderline personality disorder. And they realized that it's not just the actual external factors that were happening, there's actual brain abnormalities, chemical imbalances that were taking place in my own brain,
Mm.
and I got the medication, and I started seeing a psychiatrist from then, a psychologist from then, and I started my healing journey since then. And I remember it was 2018. Since 2018, I've just been recovering, healing, sharing, and serving. So that's my story.
Oh, hey, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Do you know how many people are struggling with mental health, but
A lot,
they don't have
a
the
lot.
courage to even come out or own up their story, like you were saying that you need to learn to have the courage to own up your story. Most people who go through mental health, they're even ashamed of talking about it. They don't have the courage because mental health has been so stigmatized by our society. When you have mental health, it's like, you know what, something is wrong. It's a taboo of some sort that people are even afraid to talk about it. But I applaud you. I admire your courage to step out and own your story, and even not
Thank
only own
you.
it, but use it to even
Yeah,
help others who are going through the same thing. And I get emotional when I say this because I've got people around me who are struggling with mental health,
yeah,
and it's a challenging journey, I must say. It's a very
incredible.
challenging
It
uh,
is.
a journey. It takes, I believe, the grace of God for
Yeah,
for somebody to actually own up their story and come out of it, walk through the journey and fight it, to the level where you become even constructive, and it doesn't become destructive. You use it in a constructive way. So I really admire you for that. I truly
thank
admire you
you.
for that. And I just wish that with this few minutes that we are spending together, just for people to be more educated about
Yeah,
what mental health is, and how to treat people, how to relate to people with mental health, and how can we help them? How can we embrace
yeah,
them, in our lives to help them through this journey? And through your experience, I think you are an appropriate person to just do that, Um what I want you to do now, what I want you to do is just to speak to our listeners, speak to our
yeah,
viewers. There may be people who are struggling with mental health as we speak now, and they don't
yeah,
know how to best deal with the situation, and they have not been able to overcome it or deal well with it like you have dealt well with it. How can you advise them? What advice can you give them? And secondly, the people who live with a mental with people with mental health issues, how should they relate with them? How can they be of assistance? How can they embrace them to the point where they also feel like there's still hope, there's still
yeah.
life beyond mental health? What can you say to them?
I think, firstly, to the people that are living with mental health disorders, I just want to say to them, and I'm going to say, I just want to say to you, so I speak to them
Mm,
personally, that there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing
mm,
that you have done. There's nothing that you did. There's nothing, you don't deserve what's happening to you. And you need
mm,
to validate yourself. You need to acknowledge where you are in order to get help. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong with you. Mental health disorders are illnesses, they are sicknesses, and they need to be seen as such. They can happen to anyone.
anyone.
It doesn't
Mm,
look like anything. There's no one that's more deserving of it. You didn't do anything. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. It says it's the same as someone having hypertension, having TB, it's the same. So there is nothing to be ashamed of. You are going to be okay. There's so much light at the end of the tunnel. I know it doesn't look like it. I know you don't want to do this anymore, but we need you. Your family needs you. Future you needs you.
yo,
Okay,
yo,
so you need to
yo.
get help. You need to get help.
Mm,
Get help. There's no shame in getting help. And I promise you, you think you can do it by yourself, but you need help. You need help from your loved ones. You need professional help, people that are equipped to help you through this journey
mm,
because it requires a lot of work. You need to commit to it. You need to commit to yourself. You need to commit to future you. And I promise
mm,
you, you have everything that you need to come out of this inside of you. Just dig deep and just you are deserving of a full life. You are deserving of a
mm,
full life, and it's possible to live a full life. Had someone told me in 2018 that I would be here now in the sense that
mm.
I'm here now in, I would have laughed. I would have said it's not possible. It is
Sure.
it is
Wow.
possible to live a beautiful, full, fulfilling life, but you need to give yourself that chance. You are the only person that can give yourself that chance. It gets better. Your feelings are valid. You are valid. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But please get help. Get help. Find out what works for you. Start having healthy habits. I promise you it gets better. It got better for me. And I was at the brink of ending my life. So if it's possible for
Mm.
me, I promise you it's possible
Yes.
for every single person. And to the people that are living with people that are affected by mental health disorders or illnesses, please be kind.
Mm,
Please be kind. You don't know what it's like. It's not just being sad, it's not just having a bad day, it's a real thing. Depression, anxiety, bipolar, personality disorders, schizophrenia, psychosis, all those mental health disorders, and the ones that I haven't mentioned are real. They're not adjectives that we use every day. You don't use things like you are so bipolar. It's not an adjective.
mm,
It's not something to look down on. There's nothing wrong with that other person. What people with mental health disorders or that are going through a lot need is a safe space. It's a safe space, a non judgmental space, and a lot of love. Please give a lot of love and be kind. You do not know what it's like. You have never been there. You can't relate. And it's very frustrating to not feel heard. It's very frustrating to not feel seen, to not feel heard. And
mm,
please encourage the people in your life to seek help. Seeking help is mind blowing, it's life
mm,
changing. Please,
mm,
please get them help, get them to the right people so they can start their lives again. Healing is possible. Get help for yourself. Read up on it, watch videos, equip yourself with the knowledge that you need to help the people that are around you because it's a real thing. I mean, whether we
mm.
think it is or not, it's still real.
Yes.
So we need to equip ourselves and equip our minds and equip our hearts and just be there for the people around us because 1 out of 4 people suffers from a mental health disorder. So if it's not you, it's someone you know. So you could all learn from it.
Mm, 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 mm. Hmm. So as a mental health, as a person who struggles with mental health, how can you best embrace yourself? How can you best accept yourself and own up the story like you, you know? How can you best do that?
Go through it. Go through it so you can grow through it. Just go through it. Allow yourself, acknowledge where you are. Sit with your pain. Sit with it. Sit with it. Love on yourselves. Love on yourself and all those dark parts of yourself that you keep away, that you're embarrassed of, that you do not love, that you are ashamed of, that you do not think is worthy. Sit with all of those people. Sit with them. Love on them. Embrace them and take it
Mm,
from there. It gets better. Get to know yourself. Get to know what works, what doesn't, and own it. The more you talk about it, the more the shame goes away because there's nothing to be ashamed of. I was embarrassed initially to talk about it. I couldn't, and then I got to a point where I could talk about anxiety and depression, but I couldn't talk about the borderline personality disorder because what do I
mm,
even mean, you know? But through talking about it over and
mm.
over again and embracing it to go, yes, I went through that. Yes, there's nothing wrong with me. Yes, I overcome. I'm a survivor and I'm a survivor. You know, and that is something to be so proud of because a lot of people that have gone through what I've gone through have not made it. So the fact that I'm here, come on, come on. So the
Sure.
fact that you are still here, come on. Come on. That already. Listen here. Okay, you're a survivor. Embrace it, love it. There's so much to be proud of.
Mm, mm, mm. And what help is available out there for people who struggle with mental health issues?
Please, if you have the finances, please see a psychologist and a psychiatrist. There's psychologists, psychiatrists, private ones, public ones, everywhere. If you don't have the finances, every government hospital has a psychologist. I don't know
Mm,
about psychiatrists, but definitely psychologists. Please go to your casualty, go to your casualty, go to your emergency department, and just tell them that you're not okay from there. Talk to a doctor, and they'll refer you to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Please find a counselor near you.
mm,
Yeah, just speak to people. There are free organizations online. I know SADC is one of them. Yeah, I know this. I can't remember something life as well, but just Google organizations that have counselors on the phone, toll-free numbers, organizations, mental health organizations. Call them, talk to someone. Please just talk to someone. Talk to someone, whoever it
mm,
is, but just make sure that they are a registered professional and not just people that are trying to take advantage of you. Because I know life coaches can help with facilitating, or navigating the healing process, but you have to see a counselor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist, particularly if you are suicidal, or because that really needs medication, it needs, psychotherapy. Yeah, so just talk to
mm,
someone.
mhm. Now, is mental illness treatable? Can you ever get to a level where you completely overcome it? You're completely healed and restored from the situation, from your experience? Can you tell us? Can
It
you advise us?
It depends. It depends on the diagnosis, the severity. It depends on whether it's chronic or not. Chronic meaning for a lifetime, and if it's
Mm,
not, then it's probably for that time. So the best way to
mm,
know is again to find out or get help and find out from a professional so you can get assessed and treated. But if it is chronic, if it is lifelong, you can still live a full life, a beautiful life, and still be happy, like truly from your core, be happy. I also don't think healing is something that finishes, because there's always something happening.
progressive. Yeah.
Healing is not linear, it's not a linear,
Right.
and you get to the end, and you get to
Mm,
the end. It's up and down, it's around, it's across. Healing is never ending, but you do get better and you do get to a point where you are living a full, beautiful life where you forget that you have mental health disorders if they're chronic or you've had, but it is possible to live a normal life.
How do you live a normal life when you are maybe, let's say, chronically diagnosed with mental health? How is that possible, if I may ask?
You know, I'm not going to lie, you're going to be doing a bit more work than normal everyday people, but it's work that everyone should be doing anyway, you know? But you are just compelled to do it just so you can be above board all the time. Find
Mm,
healthy coping mechanisms, whether it's journaling, whether it's exercising, whether it's reading books, having alone time, reflecting, meditating, eating well, avoiding triggers, um, being on medication if you need to be on medication. Just doing things consistently that make you feel good. Whether it's going out there, talking to loved ones, you would just need to do it consistently and allow yourself to be on the days that you aren't okay, seeing a psychologist, seeing a psychiatrist regularly if it's chronic.
mm.
Doing those things, I promise you, will afford you the luxury of living a full life.
Sure. I love that. I love it. Means you need to learn to be proactive. You have to learn to be
Yeah,
proactive.
yeah,
Take charge of your life and don't allow
100%.
yourself to be a victim, because that those people who have accepted that this is the
Mm-mm.
condition, this is how I'm gonna
I
live for
don't
the
actually
rest of my
identify with those
life.
things anymore.
Mm,
I don't
wow.
identify with them anymore. You know, people go, because I was chronically diagnosed. But when I talk about it now, I always say, I was affected by mental health disorders. It's not a part of
Mm,
my identity now. I have a different
sure.
identity. They
Yeah.
could still be there, but I'm proactive about them. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. So I don't identify as a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. And I'm so proactive. If I tell you I have a morning routine, I have a morning routine, I
Wow.
have an evening routine because I can't afford to drop the ball because I have to be on it for
Mm.
my sake, for future
You
me.
value yourself that much.
Yeah. And I live a normal life. Actually, I think I live a beautiful life. I live a beautiful life, a fulfilling life. So, but I had
Mm.
to make the decision to be proactive about it.
Sure, sure, sure. And have you had situations where you felt like you are relapsing?
100%. 100%. I would
Yeah.
be lying if I didn't. I've had situations where I've completely gone off medication, where I've relapsed, but I've never been where I was though before. I've never, ever, ever, ever been there. I'd have like really bad days or really bad periods of time, but I've never gone back to where I was when I first got admitted. But also, I made the decision that I'll never go back there. So I've never gone back
Mm,
there. I've had
mhm.
small relapses, but I've never gone back there.
And how have you dealt with them?
Allow myself to be talk to my psychologist, talk to
Mm.
my loved ones,
So you
even when I
consult when
didn't
you feel
feel like.
like you're relapsing.
Yes, 100%. I still consult to this day, even as a life coach, as I consult. So, yeah.
Wow,
So,
it's
and
amazing.
I, even on the bad days where I don't feel like going to the gym, or I don't feel like journaling, or I don't feel like, taking my medication, or whatever it is, I push myself to. And if I really, really can't, I allow myself a bit of grace for a day or two, but I have to get back up. You have to
You
get
have to
back up.
get
You
up.
cannot
Yeah, yeah.
lie there and wait for yourself to die. You can give yourself a bit of
Mhm.
grace, but you have to get back up. You have to. So that's what I've been
Sure.
doing. Take off my gloves for a day or two, put them back on, and we're going at it again.
Wow,
That's just how I've been dealing with it. Yeah.
I love the spirit. I love the spirit. Sure. You know what? Our time is up, but I can give you few more minutes. Yeah, no,
It
this
flew,
is
time
something
flew,
else.
my goodness.
Hmm. So you are also a health care professional. What do you do as a healthcare professional?
I'm a speech therapist and audiologist by profession. So I
Okay.
work with hearing disorders, balance disorders. I work with feeding, swallowing disorders, language
Mhm.
pathology, speech
Right.
pathology. Yeah,
Yes.
voice
Yeah.
issues.
Okay. And as a life coach and also a CEO of Kosi Life Coaching, what do you do? How do you help people in your coaching practice as a life
Like
coach?
I said, I help people navigate towards their best self. Depending on what your goal is, I facilitate that for you. So, what I basically do is I work as a facilitator where
Mm,
I offer you a safe space where you get to explore your thoughts. You get to explore
sure.
your thoughts, you get to explore,
Mm,
what's available to you. And I always tell my clients that there's no such thing as I can't. Everything is frequency, everything is vibrations, and whatever you think you are right. So, what I help you do is
mm,
believe with all your heart that you can be the best person that you can be, and everything is
right.
available to you. There's nothing that's not available to you, there's nothing that you cannot do. I just facilitate you to being able to realize that in whatever
Mm,
field, whether it's relationships, work, career, life, parenting, whatever it is that you have a bit of a gap in, I help you bridge that gap and be the best you in that area that you can be.
mm, mm, mm. So you have programs, like different programs that are
Yes,
set.
for different
You know.
for different areas. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So if somebody, let's say maybe there's somebody out there who would like to consult with you, to do coaching with you, what are the steps? What do they do?
They just need to contact me on 082 397 8974 082 897 3974 or email me at my surname Photoane @gmail.com or on my social media platforms at Hosi _life _coaching. Yeah, or my personal page at Kgaogelo. And yeah, let's get working. Just contact me. Let me find out where the gap is, and let's get working. Let's get you to be the best you that you can be.
Loving it. I'm loving it. You know what? You and I still have a lot to talk about. I
We do.
believe this is not the last time.
Definitely.
We are having you here on my show on Africa USA Radio, because I believe that there's so much that you need to educate our people with, and especially in terms of mental health, in terms of so many things that you touched on, the programs that you're doing in your life coaching and all that. But I'm sure we will find a way on how we
We'll
can
find a way. We'll find a way.
yeah, we'll find a way how we can best bring you back, so that we can empower our listeners even more, because within this 40 minutes, it's a very
It
short time.
is.
Yeah, for
It is.
for you to dish out everything, but I'm considering that. I'm definitely considering that. So
I
just
would
brace
love to.
yourself. Yeah, we will reconnect and then see how we can do this. And I'm sure it's
Okay.
doable. I'm sure it would be possible. Thank you so much, Kgaogelo. All the best, man, with your
Thank
career,
you. Thanks so
with
much.
allowing God to use you to fulfill your
Yeah.
purpose to impact lives. I believe that we need more women like you. And thank you for your courage to step out and be what you are called to be, and do what you know that you have been destined to be. And I believe that with the spirit that you have, there's more. We are expecting a whole lot still from
Oh
you.
yes.
and
Yeah.
and I pray that God keeps you. I pray that God sustains you, so that even you can impact even more lives, even the next coming generation, because there's still more. With your age, you still have a lot to do, girl. there's still there's still a whole lot for you to do. But thank you so much. I'm sure we'll still continue to connect. May God bless you and
Thank you
keep
so
well.
much.
Stay
Well, thank you to your listeners.
blessed.
Bye.
Thank you so much. That was Kgaogelo, Photoane. What a very interesting, empowering conversation we just had with her. She's a life coach, she's a healthcare professional, mental health advocate, a keynote speaker, CEO of Khosi Life Coaching. The lady is power packed, and I'm sure you've enjoyed the interview. Check her out on all her social media platforms, and we will definitely have her back. This is not the last time we have her. This is where we'll leave it. Until next time, this is me, Naomi Wesi, saying, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and give you peace till we meet again tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Africa USA Radio. Shalom. Shalom.